The vast cylindrical structure of the United Interspecies Academy loomed over Earth's northern hemisphere, its sleek metallic surface reflecting the planet's clouds and blue oceans below. This orbital campus, a marvel of collaborative engineering between Earth and the Galactic Alliance, served as a bridge between humanity and the countless alien civilizations that had long since abandoned their war-torn pasts. For the first time, Earth was hosting a delegation of alien students eager to learn about humanity and its tumultuous journey through history. The visiting students, a diverse mix of species from peaceful interstellar worlds, arrived with curiosity and anticipation, their minds open to exploring this young, complex civilization that had only recently joined the galactic community. Among the group were Thraxial, Lyra, and Quintar. Each of them had their own motivations for joining the exchange program. Thraxial, an insectoid scholar from the hive mind civilization of Kryn, was particularly intrigued by sociology. Lyra, a telepathic, aquatic being whose thoughts shimmered like her bioluminescent skin, sought to understand the emotional intricacies of other species. And Quintar, a sleek, AI-enhanced entity, was driven by a logical curiosity, aiming to analyze humanity's historical inefficiencies and progress. Nick Matur, their human guide, Professor Elena Vega, stood waiting at the docking bay as the alien students disembarked. She was a tall, middle-aged woman with sharp features softened by a warm smile, her dark hair streaked with gray from years of academic service. As the delegation gathered, she stepped forward, addressing them with enthusiasm. "Welcome to Earth's Orbital Academy," she began, gesturing at the curved walls adorned with holographic displays of Earth's landscapes. "Over the next few weeks, you'll learn about humanity's history, culture, and the remarkable journey that brought us to the stars. We're honored to have you here." The students murmured polite greetings in their various languages, their translators rendering their voices into smooth, synthesized tones. Despite their outward calm, each of them was brimming with curiosity about this species that had captivated galactic attention. Humanity's late entry into the interstellar community was unusual. Most species achieve spacefaring status only after centuries of peace and stability. But Earth had arrived with a history of conflict that was both alarming and fascinating. As their orientation progressed, the students were introduced to Earth's vibrant culture. The Academy's halls displayed holograms of music performances, dance, and artistic creations. Lyra was particularly mesmerized by a projection of Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night, her skin flickering with admiration. Analyzing the interplay of human social structures, Quintar, however, remained unimpressed, dismissing the exhibits as a distraction from the efficiency of knowledge transfer. It wasn't until their first history lecture that the true gravity of Earth's past began to unfold. The lecture hall was an expansive room, its walls lined with interactive displays showing Earth's timeline. The students settled into their seats, their translators ready to interpret Professor Vega's words. She began with an overview of humanity's early civilizations, explaining how hunter-gatherer societies evolved into agricultural communities and then into complex empires. "For much of our history," she explained, "conflict has been a defining force. Wars over resources, territory, and ideologies have shaped our civilizations in profound ways." Thraxial's antennae twitched with interest. "You mean to say that war was a consistent element of your development?" Professor Vega nodded. "Unfortunately, yes, but war also spurred technological advancements and social changes. It's a paradox that has both devastated and driven us." She continued, detailing the wars of the early empires, the rise and fall of Rome, the conquests of Genghis Khan, and the countless battles of feudal Europe. The students listened intently, though some began to show signs of discomfort. Lyra's skin dimmed as Vega described the brutal tactics of ancient warfare, and Thraxial's mandibles clicked nervously. When the lecture shifted to the 20th century, the atmosphere in the room grew heavier. Vega played a short documentary about World War II, showing footage of soldiers in trenches, bombed cities, and concentration camps. The stark imagery shocked the alien students. Lyra's voice, usually serene, wavered with distress. "How could your species endure such suffering?" "Well, I'm proud to be a fellow citizen," MacDonald said, rising to his feet and slowly walking away. Lyra's smile faded. "It wasn't easy," Vega admitted. "But it's also during times of great hardship that we've seen incredible resilience and heroism. For every atrocity, there were those who risked everything to fight for justice and peace." Quintar's mechanical voice cut through the tension. "The inefficiency is staggering, such loss of life and resources. Surely there were more logical solutions to your conflicts." Quintar smiled. "Hindsight is always clearer," Vega replied. "But humans are emotional creatures. Logic doesn't always prevail, especially in moments of fear or desperation." The discussion continued, with Vega highlighting the Cold War and the looming threat of nuclear annihilation. She explained how humanity had come dangerously close to destroying itself, only to step back from the brink and establish international agreements to prevent such catastrophes. After the lecture, the students gathered in the observation lounge overlooking Earth's surface. The planet's beauty seemed at odds with the violent history they had just learned about. They began to discuss their reactions, each voice adding a new perspective. "I cannot comprehend how they survived this long," Thraxiel said, his mandibles clicking thoughtfully. "A species that thrives on destruction should have self-destructed millennia ago." Lyra's voice was soft but firm. "And yet they didn't. Despite their flaws, they've created art, music, and ideas that resonate across the stars. There is something remarkable about their ability to endure." Quintar's tone was skeptical. "Remarkable, perhaps, but their inefficiency is undeniable. If they had channeled their resources toward innovation instead of conflict, they might have joined the Galactic Alliance centuries earlier." Their debate was interrupted by Professor Vega, who entered the lounge with a thoughtful expression. "I couldn't help but overhear your discussion," she said, "and I understand your reactions. Humanity's history is difficult to comprehend, even for us. But it's also a story of transformation. Each conflict taught us lessons and inspired movements toward peace and cooperation." Lyra tilted her head, her skin flickering with curiosity. "Do you believe humanity will ever fully transcend its violent tendencies?" Lyra asked. Vega smiled faintly. "I believe we're capable of it. Every generation moves us closer to a world where empathy and understanding prevail, and perhaps, by learning from civilizations like yours, we'll get there even faster." The students fell silent, gazing out at Earth. For the first time, they began to see humanity not just as a species shaped by conflict, but as one striving to overcome it. It was a perspective that challenged their assumptions and sparked a deeper curiosity about the complexities of the human spirit. The alien students' second day on Earth's orbital academy began with an early morning gathering in the Academy's Grand Exploration Hall. The room was a masterpiece of architectural ingenuity, its vaulted ceilings adorned with holographic projections of Earth's solar system and beyond. As the sun rose over the curvature of the planet below, its golden light refracted through the crystalline walls, casting a celestial glow over the room. Professor Elena Vega stood at the center of the hall, waiting for the group to assemble. The students arrived one by one, their unique physiologies contrasting sharply with one another. Flaxiel's chitinous exoskeleton shimmered faintly, reflecting the ambient light. Lyra moved with a fluid grace, her bioluminescent patterns shifting in response to her emotions. Quintar's sleek metallic frame hummed softly, his internal systems processing data in real time. "Good morning," Vega greeted them, her voice warm yet commanding. Today, we delve deeper into humanity's history, specifically how our species discovered and harnessed its capacity for both creation and destruction. A ripple of anticipation passed through the group. The previous day's lecture had left them with more questions than answers, and they were eager to uncover the complexities of this enigmatic species. The session began with a visit to the Hall of Technological Advancements, a sprawling exhibit that chronicled humanity's most significant inventions. The students moved through the displays, which showcased everything from the humble wheel to the intricate circuitry of quantum computers. Vega guided them through the timeline, her narration weaving together humanity's triumphs and tribulations. Many of our greatest inventions were born out of necessity, she explained, pausing before a holographic reconstruction of the first steam engine. Others were driven by curiosity or a desire to improve our quality of life. But a recurring theme you'll notice is that conflict often accelerated technological progress. Braxial's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Your species' reliance on conflict for innovation seems counterintuitive. Why not collaborate instead of compete? It's a valid question, Vega replied, and one we've wrestled with for centuries. In many cases, the pressures of survival or domination overshadowed the potential for cooperation. But as our understanding of one another grew, so did our capacity for unity. The group stopped before a display dedicated to the space race. A hologram depicted the iconic moment when humans first set foot on the moon. Lyra's skin flickered with fascination as she absorbed the details of the story. Your journey to the stars began with competition, she observed, her voice tinged with wonder, yet it led to one of your most profound achievements. Exactly, Vega said with a nod. The space race was a contest between rival nations, but it inspired generations to look beyond our planet and dream of what lies beyond. Today, we explore the cosmos together. Quintar's voice chimed in, his tone analytical. The inefficiencies of this approach are apparent, yet the outcome? Technological advancement suggests a peculiar resilience. Your species seems to thrive on adversity. Vega smiled faintly. You're not wrong. Adversity has shaped us in ways both constructive and destructive. The challenge lies in learning to harness it for the greater good. The provenance of whether we live or die can ripple effect over time. After the tour, the students reconvened in the reflection chamber, a quiet space designed for contemplation and dialogue. Vega encouraged them to share their thoughts on what they had seen. I find your species' trajectory baffling, Thraxial began. So much potential, yet so often squandered in pursuit of power. How do you reconcile this duality? It's a question we still grapple with, Vega admitted. Our history is a tapestry of contradictions. For every act of destruction, there are countless acts of creation and compassion. Perhaps it is this duality that defines us. Lyra's luminous pattern shifted to a calming hue. I sense a profound depth in your species' emotional spectrum. Your capacity for love and empathy is remarkable, yet it exists alongside fear and hatred. How do you balance these opposing forces? It's a constant struggle, Vega said. But over time, we've learned to channel our emotions into positive action. Movements for social justice, environmental preservation, and peace-building are examples of how we strive to overcome our darker impulses. Quintar's tone was skeptical. Emotion introduces inefficiency. Wouldn't a purely logical approach yield better outcomes? Vega regarded him thoughtfully. Logic has its place, but so does emotion. It's our emotions that drive us to connect, to create, and to aspire. Without them, we would lose what makes us uniquely human. She paused, looked closely at him. His eyes were pale, blue, his embryo wrinkled and dropped down to his middle. The students fell silent, each contemplating Vega's words. For Thraxial, the discussion was a revelation. His hive-mind society valued collective efficiency over individual expression. Yet he found himself intrigued by humanity's chaotic brilliance. Lyra, whose species thrived on emotional resonance, felt a kinship with the human's capacity for empathy. Quintar, ever the pragmatist, remained unconvinced, but couldn't deny the results of humanity's unconventional methods. The next segment of the day focused on Earth's cultural diversity. Vega introduced the students to a holographic simulation of a bustling market square, where vendors from various cultures showcased their crafts, foods, and traditions. The students marveled at the vibrant array of colors, sounds, and aromas. Each culture on Earth has its own unique identity, Vega explained, but they all contribute to the global tapestry that defines humanity as a whole. Thraxial observed the simulation with keen interest. Your species' diversity is astonishing. How do you maintain unity amidst such variation? It's not always easy, Vega admitted. We've faced countless challenges from prejudice to conflict, but over time we've learned to celebrate our differences and find strength in our shared humanity. Lyra's bioluminescence brightened as she studied a group of musicians performing a lively tune. Your music, it's filled with emotion. Each note carries a story, a feeling. It's beautiful. Music is a universal language, Vega said with a smile. It's one of the ways we connect across cultures and generations. Quintar, ever analytical, scanned the scene with his advanced sensors. The inefficiency of maintaining such varied traditions must be immense, yet it appears to foster innovation and creativity. Fascinating. As the day drew to a close, the students gathered in the observation lounge once more. The view of Earth, bathed in the soft glow of twilight, served as a poignant reminder of the planet's fragility and resilience. Today has given me much to consider, Thraxial said, his tone reflective. Your species' ability to adapt and evolve is unparalleled. It's both inspiring and unsettling. Lower robes were dark black with gold, and her clothes were fitted with shining gowns. I feel a deep connection to your people, Lyra added, her voice filled with warmth. Your struggles and triumphs mirror the complexities of my own species. There is much we can learn from one another. Quintar remained silent for a moment before speaking. Your history defies conventional logic, yet it's clear that your unique path has yielded results. Perhaps there is merit in your approach after all. Vega listened to their reflections with a sense of pride and hope. Humanity's story is far from perfect, she said, but it's a story of growth, resilience, and the unyielding pursuit of a better future. And now, as part of the galactic community, we have the opportunity to write the next chapter together. The students gazed out at the planet below, their minds alight with new insights and questions. In that moment, they began to understand that humanity's greatest strength lay not in its achievements, but in its capacity to learn, adapt, and strive for something greater. The classroom was silent except for the hum of the holographic projectors which cast flickering images of Earth's history onto the walls. Professor Elena Vega stood at the center of the room, her expression calm but firm as she introduced the day's topic, the modern age of warfare and its consequences on global society. The alien students, seated in a semicircle, watched with a mixture of curiosity, apprehension, and disbelief as the story of Earth unfolded before them. The hologram displayed images of the 21st century, armored tanks rolling across deserts, unmanned drones hovering over cities, and mushroom clouds rising into the atmosphere. Lyra's bioluminescent skin dimmed as the harsh realities of war illuminated the space. Thraxial's antennae quivered in dismay while Quintar's metallic frame emitted a faint hum, processing the data with cold precision. By the turn of the 21st century, Vega began, humanity had developed technologies capable of both great destruction and profound progress. Nuclear weapons, cyber warfare, and automated combat systems marked a new era of conflict. Yet these same decades saw the rise of international cooperation and movements advocating for peace and human rights. Traxio clicked his mandibles nervously. How does a species survive when it holds such power to annihilate itself? Vega sighed. It's a constant balancing act. The threat of destruction forced us to confront our darker instincts and develop mechanisms for conflict resolution. But the road was never smooth. The first segment of the lecture focused on the Cold War's aftermath. Vega described the fragile peace maintained through diplomatic efforts, economic globalization, and the establishment of organizations like the United Nations. The students listened intently, their reactions varying with each revelation. A hologram projected the image of a crowded UN assembly hall. Vega gestured toward it. Institutions like these became critical in preventing large-scale wars. They gave nations a platform to negotiate, share resources, and address global challenges collectively. Lyra's voice was soft, almost mournful. And yet conflict persisted. Why did some choose violence over dialogue? Fear, greed, ideology, the reasons are as varied as the conflicts themselves, Vega replied. But there were also those who dedicated their lives to peace, risking everything to bring about change. She highlighted figures like Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, and Malala Yousafzai. Their stories of resilience and activism resonated deeply with Lyra, whose species valued emotional connections and collective healing. Her luminescent patterns shifted to a serene blue, a sign of profound contemplation. Next, Vega delved into the rise of cyber warfare. The hologram displayed a virtual network under attack, streams of data cascading like waterfalls as digital defenses crumbled. Quintar leaned forward, his analytical systems focusing intently on the visuals. The advent of cyber warfare changed the nature of conflict, Vega explained. Battles were no longer fought solely on physical terrain, but in the digital realm. Critical infrastructure, financial systems, and even elections became vulnerable to attack. Quintar's voice was sharp and precise. This form of warfare introduces unparalleled efficiency, minimal casualties, maximum disruption. Yet, it also appears to undermine trust and stability. Precisely because people have their emotional blood drained, exercise forces a deep sense of attachment. Exactly, Vega agreed. While it reduces direct violence, it creates new challenges, paranoia, misinformation, and the erosion of democratic institutions. The solution lies not in eliminating technology, but in using it responsibly. Quintar processed her words, his internal systems weighing the costs and benefits of such a strategy. For a species like his, which thrived on logic and optimization, humanity's approach was both baffling and intriguing. As the lecture progressed, the discussion shifted to environmental and humanitarian crises exacerbated by war. The hologram displayed images of deforested landscapes, polluted rivers, and displaced populations. Vega's tone grew somber. War doesn't just impact those who fight it. Entire ecosystems are destroyed and millions of lives are disrupted. The aftermath of conflict can linger for decades, affecting generations. Finally, Thraxial's antennae drooped. In my hive, the loss of even one life is felt across the entire colony. To see such widespread destruction, it's incomprehensible. And yet, humanity has found ways to rebuild, Vega said. Efforts to heal the wounds of war have led to innovations in medicine, architecture, and social policy. Resilience is one of our defining traits. She shared examples of post-war recovery. the rebuilding of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the Marshall Plan's role in Europe's recovery, and the global response to the Syrian refugee crisis. These stories highlighted humanity's capacity for compassion and ingenuity, even in the face of immense challenges. The final segment of the day was a simulation exercise. The students were divided into groups and tasked with resolving a fictional interstellar conflict. Each group represented a different faction, with its own goals and limitations. Vega monitored their progress, offering guidance as needed. Raxiel's group emphasized collective decision-making, reflecting his hive's values. Lyra's group focused on emotional diplomacy, seeking to understand and address the root causes of the conflict. Quinter's group relied on data-driven strategies, analyzing probabilities and outcomes to craft an optimal solution. Despite their differing approaches, the groups faced similar challenges, balancing competing interests, building trust, and finding common ground. By the end of the exercise, each group had reached a resolution, though the paths they took varied widely. Vega convened the students for a debriefing. "What did you learn from this exercise?" she asked. Traxiel was the first to speak. "Conflict resolution requires patience and empathy. It's not enough to impose a solution, it must be accepted by all parties." Scholastic Canon said. Lyra nodded in agreement. "Understanding others' emotions and perspectives is crucial. Without it, peace is fragile." Quintar's tone was measured. "Efficiency is important, but so is adaptability. Rigid logic cannot account for the unpredictability of sentient behavior." Vega smiled. "You've all grasped key aspects of what makes peace possible. It's a process, not a destination, and it's one we're still learning." As the students left the classroom, the weight of what they had learned lingered. Humanity's history was a testament to both its flaws and its potential. The students were beginning to see Earth not just as a place of contradictions, but as a source of inspiration. That evening, they gathered in the observation lounge, gazing at the planet below. Its lights twinkled like stars, a reminder of the countless lives shaping its future. "Earth's story is far from over," Lyra said softly. "Perhaps we're here to witness the next chapter." Thraxiel's antennae swayed in agreement. "And to learn from it." Humanity's resilience is something we could all strive to emulate. Quintar's voice was uncharacteristically contemplative. "For all its inefficiencies, this species has achieved remarkable progress. There is value in their methods, even if they defy conventional logic." The students fell silent, their thoughts drifting across the vast expanse of stars. In the quiet of the observation lounge, they began to understand that the true discovery was not just humanity's past, but its enduring spirit, a spirit that dared to hope, to strive, and to dream of a better tomorrow.